Man, something just happened in NASCAR that honestly made me sit up and go, wait a second. Are we looking at this all wrong? Because if you have been following the sport lately, you already know there has been a lot of noise, debates, criticism, people questioning whether certain drivers even belong out there. And for a while, it felt like every time this situation came up, it only added fuel to the fire. But then in one single moment, everything kind of paused. Not because of a win, not because of a wreck, but because of something way more telling. And now the entire garage, fans, veterans, everyone is looking at this a little differently. I am telling you, this is one of those moments that might not look huge at first, but could end up meaning a lot more than people expect. So stick with me on this one. And hey, real quick, if you are a true NASCAR fan like me, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. We are just getting NASCAR Turbo Report off the ground, chasing that first 10,000 subscribers, and it really means a lot to have real fans riding along with us. Alright, let's talk about what actually happened here. Now we are talking about Cleetus McFarland, the YouTuber who has been thrown straight into the deep end of stock car racing, and has not exactly had a smooth ride so far. This all happened during a test session at Rockingham Speedway working with Richard Childress Racing. And this was not a casual run. We are talking about nearly 10 straight hours behind the wheel. That is physically draining, mentally exhausting, and exactly the kind of environment where mistakes usually happen. And for a second, it looked like we were about to see another one. Laid into a long run with tires completely worn and grip almost gone. The car snapped loose in the middle of the corner. That kind of moment is where inexperienced drivers usually lose it. That is where the car spins, hits the wall, and the criticism gets even louder. But this time he saved it. Quick hands, no panic, no overcorrection, just control. He caught the car, kept it off the wall, and kept going like nothing happened. And honestly, in a vacuum, yes, it is just a clean save. But in this context, that is a statement because we cannot forget how we got here. Cleetus did not enter NASCAR quietly. His jump from YouTube into real competition running in the ARCA Menard Series, and then stepping into the Truck Series, has been one of the most debated storylines in the garage. We all saw the early struggles. There was the crash during testing. Then the incident at Daytona in his truck debut, and that is when the veterans started speaking up. Denny Hamlin questioned whether he really had control of the car. Brad Keselowski criticized the approval process. Kyle Busch pointed directly at the experience gap. And when drivers like that talk, people listened. So even after signing a limited schedule deal with Richard Childress Racing, the narrative did not change. The question stayed the same. Is he actually ready for this level? And that is why this moment at Rockingham matters more than it looks. Because for the first time in a real high-pressure situation, he showed something that cannot be faked in NASCAR. Car control under stress. Not in clean air, not on fresh tires, not in a perfect lap. This was worn tires, long-run fatigue, and a tricky track. Exactly where rookies usually get exposed. And he did not. Now, did this silence the critics? No, not even close. As soon as the clip hit the internet, the reaction split instantly. Some fans said this is real progress, especially when you compare it to his earlier crash at the same track. Others were not convinced, saying one save does not erase a short resume filled with mistakes. And honestly, inside the garage, the tone feels the same. It is not hype. It is not full approval. It is more like a pause, like people are saying, maybe there is something here, but we need to see more. And that brings us to what comes next, and this is where the pressure really ramps up. April 4th at Rockingham Speedway again, but this time it is not a test. It is his official debut in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And now everyone is watching because in this sport potential gets you attention. But consistency earns respect. So this moment did not change everything overnight, but it definitely changed something. It made people stop, look again, and maybe start reconsidering what this story could turn into. And as a fan, that's what makes this so interesting right now. Because we might be watching the moment where the narrative starts to shift or the moment where reality hits again. We are about to find out. So, what do you think? Was that safe enough to prove real progress, or is it still too early to believe in this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear where you stand. Honestly, my take on this is pretty simple. This moment matters, but not for the reason a lot of people think. What Cleetus McFarland did at Rockingham does not suddenly prove he belongs at the top level of NASCAR. One save is not enough to erase the mistakes, the crashes, or the lack of experience we have already seen. But at the same time, you cannot ignore it either, because that kind of car control in that situation, after that many hours in the car on worn tires, that is not luck. That is instinct starting to build. That is a driver getting more comfortable at the limit, and that is what makes this interesting. I still think the criticism from guys like Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, and Kyle Busch is fair. NASCAR is not a place to learn everything from scratch. The level is too high and the risks are real. But I also think this is the first time we have seen actual evidence of progress instead of just potential. For me, this changes the conversation from "he does not belong here" to "okay, let's see if he can back this up." Because now the expectations are different. Now it is not about hype anymore. It is about consistency. If he shows up in this Xfinity race and keeps the car clean, runs solid laps, and stays out of trouble, then people will start taking him seriously. If not, then this moment will be remembered as just a flash. So yeah, this did not prove everything, but it proved just enough to make April 4th a lot more interesting than it was before. And if you like real, honest NASCAR talk like this, no sugarcoating, just fans talking racing, make sure you like the video and subscribe to NASCAR Turbo Report. We are building this channel from the ground up, chasing that first 10,000 subscribers, and having real NASCAR fans in this community makes all the difference. Alright, now all eyes on April 4th, because this is where everything starts to count for real. No more test sessions, no more what if, no more benefit of the doubt. This is the moment where Cleetus McFarland has to go out there and prove that what we saw was not just a one-time reaction, but the beginning of something real. And as fans, this is exactly why we watch, to see if a driver can rise when the pressure hits, to see if the story changes or if it stays exactly the same. We are about to find out